Hey, hello, my friends. I always enjoy our time together. And today I wanted to focus on a topic that is uncomfortable, at least for most of us, but it is a reality that we need to face from time to time. And that is dealing with conflicts, arguments, and disputes. Now, before I jump into it, what I want to say is that I'm talking about your average types of conflicts and not about if you have a serious situation of abuse of any type where you feel that you're in jeopardy. And in that case, you seek, you know, whatever police protection and professional help to assist you in moving forward in a safe way to a better life. But with that being said, I would like to focus on more of the everyday that we run into. And whenever we have a conflict of any sort, there can be this knee-jerk reaction of a fight or flight, which is not always the best thing. So today I just wanted to share some, if you will, tips or guidelines in regards to how to pick your battles and perhaps things to think about and how to approach them. So understand that these are broad guidelines, and obviously it's not going to go to every single situation, but hopefully we'll give you some starting points to get there. So the first thing that you need to consider is the type of relationship that you are dealing with. So what I mean is that obviously the way that you would handle a family member, a close friend, a coworker, a stranger, each is very, very different. But in addition to this, not only the type of relationship, but what is the history, the track record of that relationship? Is it harmonious? Is it one where it's already been tense to begin with? And all of that needs to be thought about and factored in when you're beginning to think about how to reapproach that person to talk about something that is really bothering you. The other thing that needs to be considered as well is that when the incident happened, what was going on in the environment? What place were you in? What place or mood was the other person in? And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that it justifies anything. It's just that, think about it. When you are tired, things can bother you more. It's more easily to take offense at things. And we're all human. So factoring that in. And what was the environment? Was it a place where you could talk freely? What was going on around that could have definitely influenced the behavior or word choices of you and of that other individual? So when you replay the scene in your mind, don't replay it for trying to find evidence. Just replay it very neutrally, like you would be watching, say, a movie, to observe to the best of your ability and what you can recall the entire scenario, how you behaved, what was happening in the environment, the other person. And then also, too, once you have sifted that out, the influences of the environment, because that also, too, can give a different spin on what you initially thought was an issue. Maybe it could have been something else, misunderstood. So when you are saying, okay, I think I've sorted all of this out, and you would like to approach the other individual, think about the environment that you want to talk in, picking the place. So typically when it's something sensitive like this, it's better to pick a place that is not really public, where it's going to be creating a scene, a place where everyone, neutral territory, where everyone can feel safe and coming from an open space. So with that comes, I guess I'm already leading into, how do you approach so not only where am I going to have this talk, but even before you go to speak, you really need to think things through. So first of all, think about, where do you want for this conversation to land? What is it that you're trying to achieve? And with that, also, what is the personality type that you're talking to? Are you talking to somebody that, can really get very direct conversation? Are you talking to somebody who perhaps doesn't like that strong energy, or really gets really weird with what they think is confrontation? So you need to factor that in. And once you do that, begin to think about how you would like to feel at the end of this. And I'm not saying it only just for you, but the reason being is think about the basic things where you wouldn't want to lose face. You wouldn't want to be attacked. You wouldn't want to be shamed, or put up against the wall. And with that in mind, think about that this is the same thing that the other individual would appreciate not feeling as well. So when you approach, it doesn't mean that you dance around the bushes. I mean, you say what you need to say. But once again, think about it. It's very easy to escalate. I mean, it's like gas vapor in a lit match, very easy. But once things are escalated, they're not easy to de-escalate. So begin to think about the personality, begin to think about your personality, the personality of the other individual, how you would like to feel, and ultimately that same dignity and respect to be offered to that other person. And the other thing I would say too is, as I said in the beginning, when comes the initial conflict that happened, it could be that fight or flight response. And with this, think about it. Sometimes it is appropriate to handle it right on the spot, no doubt about it. But at other times, depending on, the environment, depending on thinking, I'm going to say long-term, what the impact is going to be, sometimes the best thing is just to walk away and to cool down, just to be able to cool down, being able to process your emotions, being able to clear your mind somewhat, so that when you approach this individual, you're coming from a different space of not just visceral emotions or just like clouded and crazy thoughts. You're able to articulate what you want to say in a way that you can be heard. So with that, I guess what I would like to finish with is, what's the goal here? What is the goal? It should not be about winning. It should not be about revenge or punishing the other person. It's a little bit like when you get frustrated with technology. And I know there's times where I might get frustrated with my phone, and throwing it out the car would feel so great at that moment. And then 3 seconds later, I realized I was really dumb. So when you're doing this, think about that really it's more about being understood. It's about setting boundaries at times, and also speaking your mind and heart in a way that you can be seen and heard in the way that you intend. And with that, if you can come from that space where you're coming from a place of that authenticity, of not wanting to damage or harm the other person, becoming that which you despise. And one other piece that I would say to you, then be at peace with that. The hopes would be that this would create an understanding, building bridges to be able to mend fences and have better conversations. But the other person, depending on where they are, may or not be receptive. At that point, don't push it. Again, setting good boundaries, if it's appropriate, leaving the door open, and being satisfied that at the very least you spoke your piece, you spoke it in a way that is well done, and at that point, letting it go. So I guess as a closing thought, what I'd like to say to you is that, when life brings you these ideas of disputes and tensions and conflicts, picking a fight should not be your first choice. It really should not be, because violence begets violence, anger begets anger, and just creates 1,000 days of sorrow. But there are times when it is absolutely necessary to stand up for yourself, stand your ground, speak your heart and your mind, and set good boundaries. So that's what I would like to share with you, my friends, that at least in the Good Red Road, it's a complete human experience. If you're experiencing anger, if you're experiencing frustration, this does not make you any less spiritual. It's how you move with it that gives you the opportunity to grow. And hopefully the other person can see that it is their opportunity to grow as well. But if they choose not to, honor that choice. You don't need to bind yourself to that. Doesn't mean it makes you a superior person. We're not about that at all. It's a matter of being able to have peace within yourself, when appropriate, leaving the door open for the other person, and allowing for yourself and the other person to have a sense of dignity and fairness, and ultimately ending up with a greater peace and understanding. So that was basically what I wanted to talk to you about today. And as always, I thank you when you subscribe. It really helps me a lot. And I would really love to know different tactics that you might use to help you to successfully move through when there's tensions and conflicts. So if you do, drop me a comment below. And if you like this video, it helps to spread the positivity. So until we speak again, Wanishi, I'm so grateful. Bright blessings to you and yours. Until we speak again.